These videos are brought to you by G66 UK. That's the place where you can grab your FM3, your FM9, or your XFX3 in the UK. For today's video, I was chatting to a buddy, and he was talking about a kind of sound that I use all the time on a different modeler, and I was kind of thinking, well, would you be able to get that sort of sound with the Fractal-verse? And so that is essentially what this video is about. It's about trying to find my sound in the fractal world. You know, I'm not exploring in a lot of these videos. I tend to explore like the range of what bits and pieces can do, or you know, looking at specific amps. This is like my selections for how I get kind of my sound in the fractal world. So I guess we could just start with delay. I would use a dual delay. The settings 375 and 500 milliseconds, and I've got the master feedback set to 200. So you get that kind of thing, like a little bit of a gallop to the left and right, and then yeah, maybe like 4 kind of hits. And then the mix is about 11.5. So that's kind of my go-to for delay. Reverb wise, I'm liking for this specific sound the Ice Castle, because what I quite like with a reverb is something that doesn't get in the way too much. What I like about the fractal stuff as well is that you could, if you wanted, do this kind of thing. And then it would really stay out of the way. So that might be a good idea if you're thinking like, you know, whether for live stuff you want to use much reverb at all. But in studio, I kind of like using reverb. Yeah, doing this sort of thing could help clear up some of the mud. But as I say, Ice Castle, the time set lower to 2.73 seconds. And the mix at 16.2. That's kind of my delay and reverb. And for this preset, my clean tone is just on kind of the edge of breakup as well. Because the idea here is that I'm playing sort of lead-ish on all snapshots at home, right? Because when you're at home by yourself, you can play lots of lead and it's okay. Okay, right. So, other parts of the chain, I'm using the Dynamic comp, which I think is based on the MXR Dynacomp. The compression at 3.73, the attack and release time set to default, and then the mix I've got here set up to 80.6 and also increasing the level. So that's actually boosting as well as a bit of compression going into the front of what follows. Okay, so that's just kind of the compressor settings. Quite a significant boost again for the kind of lead playing and stuff like that. The input, I've actually got the gate turned off for most of these snapshots because I prefer the feel. And if I'm not on a super gained up preset, that's okay. Then for my clean tones here, I'm using the ODS 100 Ford. You see the gain at 4.53, overdrive at 5. Bass at 4.72, mids at 5, pushing the treble up to 6.81, and the presence at 3.42, and then pushing the master volume to 7.2. And the other thing that I've got going on here is in the cab, I'm using the 4x12 Recto Straight. The position here, 1.59, and a high cut down at 4723.9 with the high slope at 6. So that's helping to keep things nice and round. Now, if I want to get a bit more brightness on that, I think I've shown you the basic settings of everything now. I can go to my scene 4. And what I'm doing here, if we go into the controllers page, is scene control 1, scene controller 1, scene 4, 100%. What I'm actually doing here is just turning on this bright switch. So if you right click that and select source scene controller 1, you can then have the bright switch turned on or off on the amp per scene. Quite a handy kind of thing. So you could say, alright, and scene 1, 2, 3, all the way off, I want them off, and then scene 4, I want it on. That's kind of, yeah, just how I would. So then if I was taking a solo on my clean, I might kind of just try and excite things a little in that way. So then I wanted to jump across. So I initially tried this with the same amp, and I found I was just not quite getting to where I wanted to be. So this is kind of my mid-gain, maybe what I'd be using for lead most of the time. Okay, so what I ended up using was the Fox ODS, which is based on Fuchs ODS. And I'll talk you through some of the settings. So we've got the gain at 5.17, the overdrive at 5. This has actually got a bit more gain than the Dumble drive models, and maybe a bit more compression. Presence at 0.3, and then I think in the output EQ I'm dropping 4K by 1.97, just to smooth it out a tiny bit. And then the next thing that I did was go into the cab section. I've got slightly different. It's the same cab, but different settings. I've got a low cut 6 dB set to 77.2, and the high slope, more aggressive high slope, 12 dB per octave, down to 3977.8, and the position slightly away from the cone as well. So without the high cut, you'll probably hear quite a lot of sizzle. But that then, because I've got that really kind of pretty dark, I can jump onto my bridge pickup and have a smooth, sustaining tone. Still no noise gate for this. You might want to include that if you were sitting close to your monitor. But yeah, that would be kind of where I would sit most of the time. Yeah, so you could increase that high cut if you wanted to. Other things that you could do to shape the tone a bit more. Oh, this is a thing I did. I went into the ideal settings because, as you could see, this actual channel doesn't have tons going on. Go into the ideal. I upped the mids to 8.42. Brought the treble down to 0 and increased the depth to 3.5. So that's a cool thing about the Fractal world. If it's an amp which doesn't have tons of settings, you can jump into the ideal menu and kind of treat it as if it was an amp that had way more tweakability. So that was the mid gain. Then for the higher gain settings, first of all I switched to channel B on the gate so that I've actually got a gate on here. Then I'm jumping to the OD250 grey, the Dodd OD250 that is, with the drive at 8.6, the level at 8.3. Then I jumped into the tone, got a bit of a low cut, 72.45, because I felt like it was just helping to clear it up a little bit. You could get in there, you could change diodes and go wild with that, if that is the sort of thing that you're into. But that's kind of the same basic settings on the amp, I think, because it's the same amp channel, just with that turned on. So that would be, you know, if I really wanted like proper screaming. those are the settings that I personally would use if I was trying to get my sound, rather than just exploring kind of what is capable in the unit. This is kind of my go-to settings now if I wanted kind of my basic kind of go-to sounds for me. So that, I just wanted to share that with you guys. I'll let you jump up into the Gumroad folder if you want to check this out. Of course, you get access to all of my other tones as well from all of the other videos, but if you want this one, yeah, Gumroad is the place to go. If you've already bought that, shoot me an email or save the Google Drive link that is linked when you make the purchase. So it's like £5 for every Fractal preset that I've ever made, which hopefully is not a total rip-off. Helps keep the lights on. I'll catch you in another video soon. Cheers for stopping by.